Example, cybersecurity doesn't only protect financial assets. Cyber attack doesn't only cause financial harm. In 2014, Stuxnet Attack happened. This attack was a well-engineered malware that caused an Iranian nuclear facility to malfunction. Their cooling system malfunctioned, delaying the Iranian nuclear program for years, and they didn't even know what happened. By accident, after a couple of years, this malware was transferred from their system to other system and was found on the internet, and then it was related to this incident. So I'm sure all of you can imagine what would happen if this very well engineered malware was designed specifically to cause something harmful in a nuclear facility. It would have caused a threat to thousands, if not millions of people. So, and all of that was 7 years ago. The latest example, and cost them hundreds of millions of dollars. And in the case of the nuclear facility, it could have caused harm to the lives of thousands of people. You can imagine what one attack that compromises thousands of organizations and governmental departments all across the world could have caused. The third, and this is also growing, the amount of the data we're storing in our system, either as organization, as governmental departments, or even as individual, are increasing. The capability of the attackers are increasing. If before 7 years they were able to malfunction a cooling system, they can now manipulate the entire infrastructure of the system toward the outcome they would want from their attack. The third factor is that the third factor is that cybersecurity builds trust. So tech giants like Facebook and Google are generating more income than any industry has ever generated throughout the human history. And they are doing that without even providing a paid product or a paid service. They do have some paid services, but this is not what generating their income. Most of their users just use their free services and platforms. So they generate this income through the use of the data they collect from their users. And users are willingly, although in most cases users don't know exactly what data they are giving, yet they are giving it willingly through using those platforms and services. A cyber attack that would compromise those data, as a user, I'm giving my data willingly because I'm benefiting from it. One thing that those organizations are using our data to, beside the other thing that they are doing, is to enhance our experience while we're using their infrastructures or their platforms. So the reason why we are still using their platform and providing them with our data is that it is beneficial for us. When a cyber attack compromises our data and the loss of this data could threaten us or cause us harm, we will stop using those platforms, which will cause them to stop even existing in our world. I'm not sure if a lot of you should have heard of Yahoo. Yahoo was the go-to search engine when we started using the internet. Most of us had emails that ended up with @yahoo.com. Now it's rarely heard of. One of the reasons that brought Yahoo down was a cyber attack that compromised more than 500 million of their users' data, which eventually even helped in dropping the price that Yahoo was sold for. So, and this is also as what goes for the two first factors evolving, which in turn evolve the importance of cybersecurity. The third factor would be that our user identity protects our data. It is true that our data could be compromised through the organization that stores and processes our data. Yet, in most scenarios, it gets compromised because of the user's fault, because of our fault as a users. We as a users, either through our organization or through our personal life, manage thousands of data points through either our organization, the platform that we deal with, or even the Internet of Things devices that we use, our smartwatches, our smart TVs, our smart ovens, our smart cars. So in order to protect those data points, we need to understand cybersecurity, and we need to know how we could manage them securely. The fourth factor would be that every organization has vulnerabilities. So it is known that there is no 100% secure system. Every system is vulnerable. Every system could be compromised, or in some cases would be compromised. Some would argue that a computing device that has no data, that is turned off, and that's put in an inaccessible room could be 100% secure. If it could, it would be 100% useless. So once you gain access to the room, it will be less secure, yet more useful, once you put some data in it, you turn it on, it will be less secure, more useful. Once you connect it to other devices, allow it to extract data from other data points, to analyze data, to give you the input you're looking for, it will be less secure and more useful. So this elaborates an important concept in cybersecurity, which is risk management. Through risk management, you can, in most cases, by specifying specific security controls, make an information system. There is no 100% safe information system, yet you can make an information system that costs more to compromise than what you will gain from compromising it. Yet, on the other hand, it could cost us more to have this system than what we will lose if this system was compromised. So the data that we are storing are getting more. The systems are getting more integrated with each other. The technology are evolving, and our reliance on technology, our presence in cyberspace are increasing, which all in turn will reflect on the importance of cybersecurity and why cybersecurity should be an important aspect of every field and every workplace, and even in our personal lives. Some of those are the numbers that would reflect the importance of cybersecurity. It is important to note that cybercrime has risen 600% in the COVID pandemic, for obvious reasons that people are having more presence on the cyberspace, and even work are done remotely, and even schools has been run remotely. So 3.86 million is the global average cost of a data breach. The average cost for an organization that suffered a data breach is 3.86 million, which will rise to hundreds of millions in some cases. And over 77% of organizations don't have a cybersecurity incident response plan. This shows the shortage of cybersecurity professionals in all available fields in our days. Cybersecurity in Kingdom of Bahrain. The Kingdom of Bahrain views cybersecurity as a pillar of its economic development. The Kingdom of Bahrain goes to a great length to provide a safer cyberspace for all its residents, its citizens, and every individual and organization in the Kingdom of Bahrain. Two of the key players in protecting the cyberspace of Bahrain are the Directorate of the Cybercrime and the National Center of Cybersecurity. The Directorate of Cybercrime under the General Directorate of the Anti-Corruption and the Economic and Electric Security deals with every aspect of cyber crimes, while the National Center for Cybersecurity deals with different aspects of cyber security. Some of the initiatives that we as Cybercrime Directorate were involved in include our collaboration with the United Nations Office on Drug and Crime, as we cooperate with them on providing ad hoc conventions and training to counter the use of technology in organized crime. We are also a part of the Europol Don't Pay initiative that help ransomware victims. Ransomware is a type of cyber attack that gets inside a system and encrypt everything on the system, which will paralyze the organization until the organization or the person that was attacked pay the ransom, and then they will decrypt his data. So this was an initiative by Europol, which we took part in, to help people retrieve their data without paying the ransomware. We also work closely with our counterpart and in our partner countries in the GCC and our allies all across the world in exchanging training, latest technologies, best practices, new criminal trends, cyber criminal trends, to help to counter them. Government initiatives. The Kingdom of Bahrain government has more initiatives on toward creating a safer cyberspace. Cyberhawks is an event that is held by the IGA, an annual event that hosts hundreds of IT professionals from government and semi-governmental entities, the Kingdom of Bahrain, in which they discuss the latest technologies and programs to implement cyber security. The Cyber Safety Award is an award held by the TRA to the community and educational institutes in Bahrain, and where they try every year to focus on a different subject that will raise the awareness of students and the organization they belong to. SafeSurf Bahrain is an initiative released by the IGA to help every citizen and residents in the Kingdom of Bahrain to have a safer, which include a website that has updated instruction on the safest ways to surf, shop, or do your daily internet surfing. A threat advisory service is a document presented by Bahrain SARE team, which is Computer Emergency Response Team, that guided organizations through handling cyber threats and cyber attacks, from even planning to how to handle and reaching how to react to a cyber attack after it happens. And the Thika Cyber Trust Program, which is a program that is held by the IGA. It's optional for governmental and semi-governmental institutions that has a 3-level. Each level of them has a specific criteria that had to be met for an organization to be considered on that level, and they work with the IGA work with the organization toward reaching that level. I tried to keep it as short as I can, as I said, so I could have the opportunity to hear any questions, remarks, notes that you have, and on some rare occasion be able to answer them. Please. Thank you. Huh? إيه.
Assalamu alaikum.
عليكم السلام.
As a student, what path would you recommend and what courses to take to reach the status of cybersecurity and to become a cybersecurity enthusiast?
A great question. So, cybersecurity is a very wide field. Have a seat, please. A very wide field. There are a lot of specialities in cybersecurity. So, as a high school graduate, you should go to, or you might go to a general specialization. You could even, a lot of cybersecurity specialists nowadays started specializing computer science, and then they got branches. In cybersecurity field, once you finish the general specialty that you're going to take in your BS degree, there are a lot of certified degrees that doesn't اللي هم شهادات احترافية. في شهادات احترافية that could, as a career, that would mean more than a higher education. Expertise are very important in cybersecurity in the field. So while you're at the university, try to get involved in cybersecurity work. Yet, this was before. Now there are even cybersecurity specialization in universities. So you could address one of them, and mostly the one that you will get when you're taking your BS would be general. Thank you.
Do you think that there could be a future market in Bahrain for lawyers to get involved in cybersecurity and try to enforce the rules on the internet, and maybe you could call it cyber law?
A very great question. I think there would. I think it's starting right now. A lot of the cyber issues are not criminal issues. A lot of cyber issues happen between organizations, one another. A lot of them goes to the privacy rights. So privacy are interconnected with cyber in Did I cause that? So, to answer your question, yes, there will be a very big market. It is starting now, especially in GCC countries, maybe not that much in Bahrain. In GCC country, such as Saudi Arabia, UAE, it's starting now, and yes, I think it will be a big market in the future.
How does Bahrain handle cybersecurity threats that come from outside the kingdom, like from internationally?
Thank you. Great question. So there are a lot of steps. First of all, you have to have a cybersecurity strategy, which we do have in Bahrain. This is all part of what the National Cybersecurity Center do. Based on this strategy, you will define your security controls that you have all over your network. Through also this strategy, you'll have the policies that the governmental organization should operate within, which through those policies and those security control, you will be able to minimize, as we said before, you can't protect yourself 100% from cyber threats. Cyber attacks will happen, but you could mitigate some of them or most of them by hardening your systems as much as you can, which is usually done or mostly done by security controls and by having the right procedures in the right place.
I have a question. What are the jobs that are involved in this field?
Sorry?
What are the jobs that are involved in this field?
Okay, so very good question. I'm not sure if I know all the jobs, but there are a lot of jobs. You could be a security analyst, one that handles security events and analyze them, getting to the causes of them. You could be a pen tester, penetration tester, which is when you try to penetrate systems in a good way to let the organization know where do they have vulnerabilities. You could be you could work on the procedures that organization have to go through to secure themselves. You could be a part of a SOC, which is a Security Operations Center, which also analyze data, which also sees traffic that goes in and out from an organization. You could write policies. You could even, what your colleague has asked about, the role that lawyers will play. This also could benefit from the knowledge of the cybersecurity. You could also be a consultant in cybersecurity. I use my knowledge in cybersecurity in investigating cyber crimes. I hope someday some of you will be a colleague of mine working in that field. So this is also another thing that you can do knowing cybersecurity.
In your opinion, what is the most, or what is the popular encryption strategy used in Bahrain?
The most what?
The popular encryption strategy used in Bahrain.
Encryption strategy used in what? Because you can
maybe
use
in the
encryption for a lot of
sector?
things.
In the financial sector, such as RSA or ECC or
Yeah,
DSA?
I know, but what is the purpose of the encryption? Are you using them as a ransomware, or are you using them to hash passwords, or are you using them to transfer data, or are you using them for what reason? Because
Transferring data?
every type of function could use a different type of encryption.
So maybe transferring data.
Transferring data, it depends on the application that you are using and what the decryption of this the systems that are integrated and communicating with each other, because I mean the encryption algorithms, there are a lot of encryption algorithms, but there are the most known ones that are used in transferring data, which are globally known. But the best way for encryption is using, it's not the best way, there are both ways. Both ways have their benefits and downsides. But generally speaking, we'll use the private key, public key encryption, because it's easier for you as you are connected to different organizations or different systems, that you don't have the same key that have to be, which could be used more internally. Thank you.
What are some ways that the average person can protect their devices from cyber attacks?
Great question. Okay, so first of all, don't click on any link that you don't know who's the sender is, and even if you know who's the sender is, if you're not expecting this link, don't click on it. I mean, I know my friend is sending me some document, I'll open it. But if out of the blue, a friend of mine send me something, a link, a document, and I was not expecting, there is no harm in calling him. Hey, my friend, did you send me that? What is it about? Then you can open it. Because in a lot of cases, my friend's phone is compromised, my friend's device is compromised, and they're using him to compromise my device. So this is one point that you should be mindful of. Another thing is, don't use the same password on every account you have. No matter how long your password is, how hard is it to guess, there are a lot of data breaches that happens everywhere. There's a website that's called I've been bound. Just go there and enter your email, and you'll see in how many breach your email has been compromised. In most cases, whenever your email is compromised, your password is also compromised. So let's say I registered to a normal website, a website of the grocery store that I go to, and I use my email and the same password that I use everywhere. So we should assume that this grocery would not have the security measures that big organization has. When their data get breached, I use the same email and the password to my bank account. Whoever compromised this data will get access to my bank account, will get access to my health record, will get access to every account as long as I'm using the same password. So you already heard that you have to have a strong password, so I'm not going to repeat that. Just don't have the same password for every account you have. Nowadays, there are a lot of password managers that choose you a strong password, which mostly will be like numbers, letters, special characters, and it will save them. You don't need to memorize them. You just use this password manager to open all of your accounts. iPhone has its default password manager. It will choose passwords for you and it will save them, and you will use them to sign in to your accounts. So I'll say those are the two most important things for an average person to protect himself.
We'll just have one last question.
If someone's hacked for money, what's like the process you guys take to give back the money, or what do you guys do?
If someone hacked what?
For money, like is hacked for money. Like their credit card is like stolen and they get the money. Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay. So this is the answer of most of the questions in cybersecurity, and the answer is it depends. Depends on a lot of things. How did he compromise the credit card? Where did he compromise the credit card? In most of the cases that gets filed, it is the fault of the user. He would deliver the information to the one that hacked them through those links that get sent, in some cases, from our friends. Or in many cases, it's through passing the OBT, the one-time password, the OTP. In these cases, we do file the case, we do contact the bank, but the banks doesn't respond because it is the fault of the customer. But in many cases where this incident happened, through an infiltration of a system and the data was gained through this hack, in many of the cases, we do get to who did it and we do retrieve what is retrievable in these cases. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Major Fawaz. Major Fawaz, we'll just present a gift from appreciation by Mr. Midhat here. Please welcome Mr. Midhat on stage.